Hey everybody, in this video I'm going to talk about taking high ground. High ground has a bunch of obvious advantages. You are more likely to hit a headshot while above your enemy, you can attack much more quickly by falling or editing down, and it is easy to build aggressively while still tracking your opponent. Additionally, high ground is difficult to take back once you've lost it. But if you have enough materials and you know some retake patterns, you can often push for high ground and retake that advantage. I'm going to explain a few tricks you can learn to make high ground retakes safer and more successful. The double ramp is the bread and butter of retake building patterns. It's the most basic way of climbing while protecting your head. Look for any way to place a ramp above you whenever you need to climb safely. Just like a regular single ramp rush, a double ramp is fragile and requires reinforcement. Practice placing pyramids above your ramps and stopping every couple ramps to reinforce your climb. Reinforcing your push is very important. The more walls your enemy has to spray down, the more time you have to climb up and land a shot. The 180-degree retake is an easy way to change directions as you push high ground. As you reach the top of your next ramp, drag your walls one half turn, look down, and place a floor and a ramp below you. For extra cover, you can edit through a floor before dragging walls and placing the ramp. Pyramids are incredibly useful for high ground retakes. One obvious benefit is that they give you extra defense against a high ground opponent spraying down on you. Pyramids can also throw off your opponent's building patterns, since pyramids can be placed through ramps and even above floors. Sometimes, pyramids will completely trap your opponent and allow you to take high ground for free. Practice editing through pyramid ramp blocks. Once you can do this consistently, add a floor for extra protection. Sometimes, you'll get stuck editing through the pyramid. To avoid this, hug the left or right side of the ramp. You'll get stuck here and will be able to edit yourself through more easily. Practice placing cones above your double ramps, and practice placing a wall and a pyramid like this to disrupt the high ground even more. To surprise your opponent, practice changing directions using a box like this. It's a great way to turn while still climbing and covering your head. It also gives you opportunities for fake ramps. Fake ramps are a great way to create an opening for a high ground push. In this example, I stop in a box, ramp out, then double back and edit through my floor and pyramid to surprise my opponent. A more difficult but important retake move is the scissor jump. Practice jumping to the side of your pyramid and catching yourself with a floor. This is very important in situations like this where your opponent traps you with a cone or floor and tries to edit down aggressively. If you can get the timing right, you can also scissor jump into 90-degree turns. This can gain you a very quick height advantage on any player. Once you learn all these retake building patterns, you should be able to avoid the ultimate pitfall for retakes, which is predictability. If I see a player underneath me double ramping, I know exactly where he's going. He's just going to keep climbing in the same direction. Practice ending all your double ramps with a double cone like this. It gives you a ton of options without giving any information away to your opponent. You can edit through the second cone to make a half turn, or just edit through the first cone and continue straight. You can scissor jump to make a quarter turn, or you can scissor jump into multiple 90-degree turns to climb vertically. Try to avoid peeking a high ground enemy in close range. In long range, you can often win an AR trade on a high ground opponent as they spray down your buildings. They won't have first shot accuracy as they spray, so you might have a better chance of landing a headshot than they do. In close range though, a shotgun shot is very likely to deal headshot damage, especially if your enemy falls on top of you. If you try to anticipate your enemy's drop shot, you'll often be able to block the attack and retake high ground for free. One huge issue that I see low ground opponents struggle with is tracking. Most players are used to looking down while they build. That's because patterns like 90-degree turns, 180s, and scissor jumps usually require you to look straight down. If you aren't looking up, you can't see where your opponent is building, and you can't predict when they'll try to make a dropping attack. Practice building while looking up. It'll take some getting used to, but you'll become much more competent from the low ground if you can track your enemy while still building upward. I hope this video gave you some ideas about pushing high ground more effectively. If you'd like to see me apply these strategies in my solo games, check out my Twitch channel. If not, stick around here for weekly tutorial videos and gameplay commentaries.